Each night, 10. Hey. Oh, sorry. Hey, how's it going? Mag. What's mag? Oops. What exactly is happening in this live stream? Looks like everything. Yeah. I'm just I do all my work. So I make a I make a YouTube channel. This is the streaming channel version. So I had to separate my streaming channel from my regular channel, but if they're interested, I make a lot of videos related to Andrew Yang and mostly about housing. So here it is, and so I just publicize my work. That's what I'm here for. I make everything live, and so I try to put out one video a day. What's your channel? It's just called YIMBY Arts. YIMBY Arts. So I made 1,000 subs over Christmas, and that was a big milestone for me. So Zach is live, yeah. Matt, can you turn Faye Zula as a song? I don't know how to do that. I'm sorry. It seems like a odd request to ask some random person on the internet. Andrew Yang is a joke. Yeah, he's pretty funny. He's a funny guy. I like him because, he makes me laugh. And not in a, in a toxic kind of way. Why so angry, man? Why so angry, Politics 101? I mean, there's a lot to be angry about, but let's get more specific. I'm pissed off about the homelessness thing. This guy, out of the goody goodness of his heart, raised money to make little homes for homeless people, and they're great. And you know what Los Angeles did? They went fucking in and they took it away and they knocked it down because the neighbors were complaining that it was an eyesore. It's a fucked up. Probably a good joke to be polling, yeah. We're the only campaign that has, is on the still on a growth trajectory. Everyone has struggled. They went up and down and up and down. Because his healthcare is completely stupid. Literally everyone. Wow. Can you show me evidence of that? I know you're over exaggerating, but the difference between Bernie's and Yang's healthcare plan is that Yang's healthcare plan could pass in Congress probably tomorrow. He has his plan is very bipartisan, and it's very, very nuts and bolts. It actually improves the system in a very pragmatic way, and that's the reason why people on the center and moderate, not the far right crazies, but the moderate Republicans will be behind it. And it could pass tomorrow. Bernie's plan is dead on arrival. Bernie's legislative record is very, very bad, actually. Let's see. Let's look it up right now, in fact. Bernie's. I'm not gonna click on that link, by the way. So, just letting you know. The one on Twitter is best because it gets the point across. Let's see. No. I'm not going to watch it. Speak from your own point of view, politics. You know, don't force people to click on links because that's a big turn off. I'm just saying, yeah. No, I don't want to watch it because I don't even know who you are. You know, I click on links for people that I know. So I don't know what makes you think you're entitled to that, but yeah. Let's see. My channel's not big enough for mods. Okay, here's the problem, okay, politics? You came into this channel starting with a conversation. You started a conversation by telling Andrew Yang is a joke, and now you expect me to do something for you, you know? You understand that is not the way you do it, you know? If you're asking someone for a favor, you should probably treat them with a little bit more respect, you know? That is actually the main reason. There you go. See, that's the main reason why Bernie's gonna lose. You know, he's no ways gonna beat Biden. It's either gonna be Biden or Yang. You know, Yang is the upset candidate, but see, there you go. So he introduced 300. Yeah. Ugh. So I don't know. So this is what's going to happen to Bernie's healthcare plan. You know, if you look at what Sanders has actually done in Congress, it's not. Oh man, you ain't helping your cause, politics 101. Your name really. Okay. Well, I'm tired of talking to you, so you can still talk to the other chat if you want, but I gotta get back to work. All right. So yeah, don't worry about it, Alekia. Yeah, don't worry about it. I think I just get rid of him. Unfortunately, the doesn't really. Yeah, I don't know. You know, but they do this all the time, though. You know, they've done it even in real life. Like they come in with a really rude. They come in like being really rude, and then they expect people to vote for their guy. You know, I'm like, it's not how it works, man. So here you go. See you later. Oh yeah, and then he created this account 7 minutes ago. So you know that's saying a lot too. It's probably a troll. It's probably a bot. So yeah, don't worry about it. They just here to waste your time, you know. But this happens all the time, man. All the time. And it's just like, wow. Wow, you know. And that's why Bernie's gonna lose, because it's so obvious what they're trying to do. And they do this stuff in real life too, which blows my mind. You know, they have no shame. Hey, EB, YIMBY. Thank you. Yeah, I'm about to release a YIMBY video. Yeah, I'm like, I don't want to rain on this guy's parade, but hey, it's okay, man. That guy's gone. So first of all, how was I rude? Oh my god, you came in. You came in with the you said that, hey, Andrew Yang is a joke. That's how you literally started the conversation, and and then you expect people to be nice to you. That is like, wow. Okay, let's see. Let's get rid of him too. You've done this sort of thing before, haven't you? Oh, now he's gone. Okay, whatever. Probably Bernie. Probably Bernie, because Bernie, it's so bad, man. The campaign has been actually instructing his volunteers to do that to Andrew Yang. Like they go tell the Yang and Tulsi people that they have no chance and vote for Bernie instead. That is the instruction that they've been given, and then, you know, they just blindly follow it. Yeah. Who is worse, Obama or Bernie? I would say Bernie is worse because he's a NIMBY. You know, Bernie has actually endorsed people who are hardcore NIMBYs, and that blew my mind. I lost all respect for him after that. Like, he is. If you don't know what a NIMBY is, that stands for not in my backyard. And they are people who are blocking things like homeless shelters and low-income housing in wealthy neighborhoods. And they attack, they blame the kids. You know, they're the worst. They do stuff like, hey, let's go and take those tiny homes away from those homeless people because I don't like the way it looks. Yeah, and then you know Bernie takes private jets, right? You know. Oh man, see, it's turning into such a joke, you know. It's like, it's hilarious, like, you know, he's taking private jet flights. Like, this is going on all year, you know. This was in February. And so I'm like, you know, he became a millionaire. Most probably he's a Republican supporter. I don't know. No, I don't think so. Republicans actually like Yang's healthcare plan because it's actually the most centrist. You know, I actually made a video defending Yang for going the centrist route when it came to healthcare. Because, dude, if you have health problems, you know, you don't want to revolutionize that shit. You know, you don't want to be like, man, the hospitals are corrupt, let's burn it all down. Hey, but what about my surgery? No, don't worry about it. Don't, you know, we'll make it better. Just tough it out for now, you know. Yeah, no, I actually have a lot of Trump supporters who are regulars here, you know. So I can talk to those folks as long as they're not too far right. You know, the far right extremists are just as crazy, but people be like, yeah, no, they wanna burn it all down, you know, seriously, like, And especially if you have health issues, you're not gonna be like, oh, I'm a Republican, I don't like his healthcare, and Bernie is terrible. Sure. If you actually read the rules, you know it says right there, no insults, right? And you started the whole thing with an insult, so at that point I couldn't take you seriously anymore. You know? It's just very basic things. Like, ah, man. Anyway, let's get this video out. That guy, don't ban me or whatever, I don't know. Not you, EB, but everyone laughed at it. It's a joke. Anyway, I'm just gonna keep on banning him. You know, let's see how much time he has on his hands. So, but I have a lot of trolls in my channel, mostly because of the housing stuff I do. I'm suspecting some of them are being paid to do this. I think I'm on a blacklist somewhere for all the YIMBY stuff I do, you know. But it's weird because they've been trolling my channel since the very beginning, even when I had only like 10 Pony Tony came into my channel once. And then he's like, okay, he has this thing, right? His thing is, hey, did you know that white people are objectively superior? And I'm like, what? You know, I was like what? Like, and I like you. Don't bother with this guy. This guy's a waste of time. Like, trust me. He's not here to talk about. Like, you cannot convert these people. Like, they're too far gone. They're either being paid or they're really just that dumb. You know, because they're not doing it in good faith. You know, and so don't talk to them. You know, I turn them into entertainment. That's what I try to do. Yeah, I don't know. Oh man, the internet, man. Say, I'm practicing. I'm trying to be more like Yang, you know. I'm gonna be like, you know, Yang gets a lot of nasty comments all the time, and he doesn't deserve most of it. But when will Yang be back on the debate stage? Well, he's gonna be at the town hall, right? So it's not. I like the town halls because they let, you know, there's more time, right? Let's see. So I think that's the next big one. Oh, wait, is it today? Fuck. Is it today? There's too many things going on, man. I don't know. Well, let's see. Oh man, I mean, there could be ton of. Oh god, these could be a small. They could be a small town. No, there's a big one that was coming up with all the Shoot. Let me get this video up first, and then I'll go look for it. I'm a little on a time crunch today because I'm gonna go to a text banking session, so I'll probably have to leave by noon. Andrew Yang, the troll. And then Yang Gang. SoCal, Yang Gang. It's the folks I hang out with. Elvis Summers. There's a big town hall coming up with all the presidential candidates on it. So, I think that's the next big sort of public event. But I have to check. It's hard, man. There's so much stuff going on. Okay, so. Okay, I mean, that's really him. Does Yang have a plan for climate changes? Yeah, he has that massive plan. I can post a link. Andrew Yang, climate change. VidQ, provide a good text or vid to game. Oh, what? Really? Oh my god. I'm using that right now. I need that. Oh man. I hate doing keywords. Oh my god. I'm just like, fuck. I'm getting that right now, actually. Okay, good. Oh, thanks for the recommendation. You saved my channel. Okay, unless you're here to
VidIQ. To research the topics you want to create and manage your YouTube channel. As soon as you create a vidIQ account and authenticate your YouTube channel.
Okay. Okay, let me do this on the side. No, you can't post any links on YouTube. You can only do that on Twitch, and I may have to turn that off as well if it gets out of hand. You know? But for now, it's okay. Oh man, thanks a lot, man. See, the Yang Gang is the best. I'm wondering if any of the candidates who have dropped out will endorse Yang. Maybe. Maybe. I doubt it. The thing is, like, the thing that most of the candidates up there want, you know what they want? They want a job. They want a job in Washington. So endorsing Yang is very, very risky. You know, it's the safe route is to endorse Biden or whoever. And then, that's the reason why Castro endorsed Warren, right? Because he's like, okay, well, I don't think I'm gonna win now, but what can I do? What can Castro do to help Castro, right? So Castro's like, well, if I could endorse Warren, I could probably get a pretty good position, regardless. Yeah, I want to watch, people yelling at Mitch McConnell. Doesn't that happen every day? Okay, so I should sign up for this and see. Yeah, let's check it. Let's just check this out. What does it give me? So I need to sign up. Okay, I'll sign up. Sign up for free. Okay, create account. Oops. Okay. Confirm. Successfully confirmed. Then is really funny. Okay, I'll watch it.
You out!
I could use a laugh, sure. Oh, this is protesters. Okay.
Vote you out! 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 Vote you out!
Where are the babies?
Vote you out!
Where's the babies?
Vote you out! Vote you out! Vote you out!
Turtle
Vote
head.
you out! Vote you out! Vote you out! Vote you out! Vote you out! What are you doing to get the babies back?
Yeah, we know where you live too, Mitch. We know where you live.
Oh man.
Yeah! We know where you live, Mitch.
Abolish ICE!
Abolish ICE!
Abolish ICE!
Abolish ICE!
We did good, fellow citizens.
What am I using to stream? I'm using Restream. So.
No comfort for fascists!
No comfort.
Oh man, yeah, yeah. This kind of stuff goes on all the time in LA, man. Yeah, and you just it's just weird because they're like taking a picture the whole time. You know, they're selfieing themselves while they're doing this the whole time. It's just, all right, I gotta figure out how to use this thing though. So. Yeah, we know where you live. Yeah, that's a little that crosses a line for me a little bit. I don't think you should be saying stuff like that, even at people you don't like. But what can you do, man? What can you do? Okay, so how do I do this? Say dashboard. No, okay, no. That's fine. Okay. Okay, no, not that. My videos. What is this? Copy cards. Okay, so if I edit this, it gives me keyword suggestions. Ah. Recommended tags. Okay. How much does this cost? Save and reload. Okay. Okay. And I see it now. I think I see it now, though. Okay. So wow, it embeds into the YouTube thing. Okay. Wow. Controversial keywords. Isn't everything I do controversial? I see it all now. So it's basically I should put in Los Angeles. Oh yeah. Did you see Toasty Studio? I know, that's crazy. That's crazy, man. Okay, this is very cool though. This is very cool actually. So thank you for this recommendation. I think to get the most out of it, I'll have to get upgraded, but it could be totally. Yeah, no, but if it works, this is totally worth it, man. Okay, what are your plans? $49 a month. I could get to $10 a month. Okay. It's not nothing. So. Oh, yeah, I see it. So, should I add the Daily Show? Hey, why not? Why not, right? Yeah, so I have someone in my channel who does marketing stuff, and she tells me all the time that you gotta do these, you gotta add this stuff. Okay. Fine. Alright. You're broke and you still pay for it. Okay, that says a lot. That says a lot. Yeah, the $10. I just want this stuff. I don't need all the... Optimize up to 40 videos a month with proprietary keyword recommendations. I'll have to give it some thought. I'll try to check it out in detail tomorrow. Hillary may come after Tulsi in a violent way. Oh God. I don't know, man. That whole Epstein thing is really weird, right? I don't know. I would like to think that our democracy has not fallen that low, but it's one thing to off and you know, a convicted child sex trafficker, but it's one thing to go after a well-known political candidate. You know, it's a whole different thing. See, nobody's gonna miss Epstein, right? Like nobody likes him. So, yeah, I don't think it. I think it's okay, but who knows, man? Good God. Yeah, I like it. I like it, though. I like it. I like that it gives me the score, you know? I like that it has all these options. Because this is the stuff that I hate doing, and anything that... Oh, you use a free one. I see. Yeah. Alright. I will check it out, though, you know? I'm trying to do this professionally, so it'd be good to this is just what I need right now, anyway. You know. So thanks for the rec. All right, here we go. Here goes the. Here it goes. Oh no, I should. Hello everyone, this is Ryan. I should have done the premiere. What am I doing? It's too late now. Ah, damn it! It's too late. Can I cancel? Nope, too late. Ah, there is no longer a premiere when you release it. Or okay, well that's okay. We'll do it tomorrow. Yeah, screen cards. I never really got into that. It's so much work, man. Oh man, and you end up spending more time doing this stuff than making content, you know? It's always a dilemma. I'll settle for good keywords for now. You can't premiere. Yeah, I know. I know that, but I was secretly hoping there's a way to fix that, but it's too late. Too late. I'm wondering if you've seen your site. Well, who is this guy? Where is your site? What kind of work do you do? Well, I'm in between jobs right now, but it's a little complicated, but yeah, I've done a lot of different things. So I'm living off of crypto money right now, you know, just to be transparent. I haven't worked in the last year because I made some money in the crypto space, and then I've been using that to what do you call it? Do a career switch. So I'm looking to work in housing or crypto, you know. Getting a job in crypto is a little tough right now because the market is not doing so well there, but subscriber count on the screen as well. So, but my skill, so, you know, my skill is product and project management. So I do, you know, if you need something to, someone to manage a project, that's my thing. And oh yeah, so I'll show you Restream. I use this multi-stream. So right now I'm streaming on Twitch, Smashcast. I have no idea what this is. Periscope. This shows up in Twitter. And then I haven't gotten too much traffic from Twitter because people on Twitter, their attention spans are a little bit too, you know. Anyway, I get random people coming in from Mixer. This is in Russia, so I have no ties to Putin, by the way. Just want to make that clear. This is in Japan. I don't know. You know, just in case someone in Japan just happens to be obsessed with Andrew Yang and wants to see. And then this here's where you are, and then I'm also on Facebook and DLab, so it's pretty useful. Okay, are you a Russian? Yeah. I don't know. It's not even. It doesn't seem like it's even working. But I don't know. Maybe someone in Russia would be like, "Wow, look at that Chinese man running for president." And what would be the connection there? You know, what's the connection? This is free. This is super duper free. It's great. If you wanna, you know, if you wanna, like, be literally all over the world, then you have to pay. But this is good. This actually works pretty well. I like it. So, and see, it's like a meeting of the worlds, right? Like, you're talking to Twitch people, and Twitch people are talking to YouTube people. And sometimes Facebook people come in, and then they're like, "Whoa." So it's just a way. I'm taking a very, like, broad approach, you know. Oh yeah, Putin knows everything, man. Putin's like, hey KGB guy, what is Ryan doing? Okay, still streaming about Andrew Yang. Good. Keep an eye on him. All right. So I'm just gonna, you know, tweet this a few times and. Oh man, it is terrible. It is fucking terrible. I should play a clip of this. Yeah. This is the stuff that gets me pissed off, because it's like, okay. See, the gist of it is that this guy raised some money in order to build homes for homeless people, and then the city just came in.
Like, what do we do? I mean, they would,
you know, at all. Like, none of them are good, but so what I want to show you is what happened to. Okay, I'm just gonna play it. I have videos on Andrew Yang talking about cryptocurrencies too, if you're interested. So yeah, check it out.
On the morning of the 9th, police and garbage trucks descended, towing 3 of the houses to a Bureau of Sanitation lot for disposal.
my phone just blows up by everybody on 42nd Street, just freaking out. Like, they're throwing us out of the houses. They're telling us they're taking them. Like, what do we do? I mean, they wouldn't let them get their clothes or their medications. They threw them out, left them on the sidewalk. I pleaded with them. I was like, okay, well, look, they have wheel locks on them. Let me unlock the wheels at least, you know, so you don't break them. No, they refused. They just wanted to take them and destroy them.
Summers
I know, it's fucked up. The city. This is Los Angeles now, you know, like the liberal city and capital of the world, and then they're like, oh, wow, nice house you got there. Okay, we have to take it away. I'm sorry, because the neighbors were complaining about it. I'm like, wow, that's fucked up, man. And it is because of people like, where is she? Ah, there she is. It's a little hard because it's a video of a video, you know what I mean?
I don't think living in that box is the alternative.
About why, like, how they justify doing these things, right? So
These structures that many of us come together to get them removed.
There
we
you
called
go.
Councilman Price's office because we needed him to do something about it.
I don't think living in that box is the alternative.
yeah, fuck you, lady. Wow, she's bad. You know, it's not a white and black thing. You black people can be NIMBYs too, you know. And then basically, you know, the homeowners were like, they thought it was an eyesore, you know. And then what happened? So then they took it away, they destroyed it, and now they're just like living on the streets in the tents. Like, it did not solve the problem. All they did was make things worse. You know, they're trying to cover up the problem. Like, I don't know what goes into their mind. It doesn't make any sense. You know, what? You rather than be wandering on the streets? Like, wait, what the hell? So I talk about a lot of depressing stuff here. You know, just to be clear, but it's fucked up. It is fucked up. And you know what? You know what to make it worse? You know, they are really doubling down on being terrible. They've actually banned people. Like, it's illegal for you to sleep in your car now. And this was recent. You know, this wasn't 70 years ago. This is last summer. So now homeless people who don't have a home, who are sleeping in their cars, now they get ticketed. You know, like, hey, you can't do, like, it really is, you know, they are punishing poor people for being poor. And it doesn't make any sense to me. And yeah, okay, this is why you have to vote everyone out this year, okay? Just vote everyone out. You know, I just vote everyone. You know, if they're an incumbent, just vote against them, okay? Because the status quo ain't working. Like, can we vote the NIMBYs out? It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough, but we gotta try. You know, that's what we're trying for this year. But it's hard because it's local politics. You know, nobody pays attention to local politics. At least in LA, only 6% voted. It's a little sad. 6%, and you know, no wonder with that low participation, everything's all messed up. You know, you let all the crazies run the show. So, I mean, the solution is to really vote, but okay, and I just need to make a quick post about this on Facebook. And actually, I should share this to the SoCal folks too. I know about it. No, most people don't know about it because they try to keep it hush hush, you know. And the Democrats actually have the most to lose from this, from people finding out about these sorts of things, because it's kind of like, okay, I'm not even from the U.S. and people, wait, you don't even live in the United States and you're gang. Oh man, I met a few. So. Okay, so this is just a word of warning. Chris Harris Dawson Marquise Harris Dawson. Marquise. That's right. Dawson. Dow. Okay, your name sounded India, but Yang Gang, I guess. I've never met an Indian Yang person, so well, that's great. Because he has a record of being housing in his previous I wish I could vote for him today. Oh yeah, I mean, anything helps, man. See, what the campaign really needs right now is more attention. So we have a candidate that people like more and more the more they learn about him, and our biggest challenge is to just get his name out there. So anything that gives him attention, anything that gives Yang more attention is helpful. You know, even the negative attention. I've learned to try to be more comfortable with that. You know, it's hard, but you know, you know that whipped cream video that went viral. I was like, a lot of people are like, ugh. But it turns out that nobody cares. You know, there are more important things to care about. Really bad at housing. So this is basically what I do all day. You know, come here, you know, make videos. I don't know, if something comes up, I might make a video live right now, you know. I produce everything live and I publish it and I market it. It's just a way for me to hold myself a little bit accountable, you know. It's hard to motivate yourself when you're doing everything by yourself, so you know, if you have to chat here, at least it helps a little. Yang needs more. Yeah, we got a lot of great endorsements, man. We got a lot of great ones there. We got the coolest of the cool, you know, celebrities. It's not bad. Yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to make it too negative. Okay, so then Elaine, yeah, there you go. Anyone else involved? Me and only one other guy. Well, I restarted. I started the channel all over again, so I had to separate my content from my streaming site. Otherwise, I might get screwed over. Mine gets stuck. Yeah, no, I live in a very, like, my building is very new, so it's well equipped for internet stuff. I get my basic plan is like, I don't even know how fast it is, like 20 megs upload. That's fast, man. And that's the basic plan. So yeah, I am lucky. I'm lucky to have good internet here. Question is, will I be able to stay in Los Angeles without going broke? You know? Gotta build more housing or we're all screwed. We're all screwed. I don't know. Since you live in India, is housing affordable there? Might seem like a weird question, but usually Asian countries are better at housing than we are because they're more comfortable with density, you know? Americans are scared of other people. Alright, here we go. Some matters the crowd you run with. Okay. Some matter. Not quite sure what you mean by that. Okay, so 10 p.m. So I'm gonna do a debate. I'm gonna debate with other Twitch people on Monday. So that's 7 p.m. on 7 p.m. Okay. Okay, there we go. Stream, okay. Sorry, I have to do a little thing on Slack that I can't really show. Yeah, there we go. People pay a lot for okay. It's a similar thing. It really is a city thing, ain't it? Man. Oh man, San Francisco is terrible, man. Oh god. Homelessness problem is out of control. People are literally shitting on the streets, man. It's dying of heroin overdoses right on the streets. And you know what? And then we're like, oh, well, we should do something about this. Yeah, no shit. But then it's like, okay, let's build a homeless shelter then. You know what happens? The NIMBYs come out. They come out and they're like, no, don't build that. I'm scared, you know? There goes the neighbor. I'm like, wow. It's bad. So what you rather do? You rather have people just dying on the streets, like literally? Like, okay. Yeah, so like Mumbai is like, hey, Mumbai is like the cool city of India, you know, just like how LA is, and then you actually go to LA and it's like, wow, it's just not that great. Yeah, San Francisco is kind of like that actually. So free the poor dogs. Okay. Hey. Mukesh Ambani house. Oh man, people hate that. Yo, work Rapida. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh man. Animal rights. Crowds. There we go. Do I discuss animal rights on here? Not really, to be honest. Poor dogs, I'm sorry. It's really not my area of expertise. My area of expertise is housing. So I talk about affordable housing and homelessness issues here mostly. And Andrew Yang, you know, I'm back there. Yeah. Not really into the Yang game, dropped him after he was the closest to Joe Biden. They're different people. Brandon. Yeah, it's they're not the same person for sure, but Biden and Yang has a they have a pretty close relationship, you know, I would say, or you know, they have a pretty friendly relationship. So the rumor is that Biden said that, let me see if I can find it actually, you know. Just as much chance. wonder if that'll pull it up. No, how about just chants? Maybe Biden chants? Yeah, they are close. Do you worry at all about the homeless animals? Well, I worry about a lot of things, but there's so many problems everywhere. It's just you know. Oh man, I'm gonna have to dig up Kai's feed, ain't I? And I wish there's a way to scroll through this. He might be already gone, but I want to pull it up anyway. 23. I wish there's a better way to... Because it's humanity first. You know? Do you do you think it's okay for society to prioritize the needs of animals over human beings? Because, you know, around LA and San Francisco, you know, you see a depressing sight where they have these like fancy they have these fancy pet hotels, you know. It was quoting Yang. Oh, okay. Okay, wait. You are Yang Gang, actually. Okay. So animals don't have the same feelings and needs as humans. No. Can you answer the question? So, do you think it's right for you know? So I see these sites. Like, how do you feel about there being like these pet hotels where animals are treated better than human beings, right? Right, like you have these fancy pet hotels where pets are given, you know, grooming and nice food and a place to stay, and right outside that hotel is a homeless person just sleeping on the streets. Like, how do you feel about that? You know, it can go too far, right? Like, so we need to change that dynamic. You don't like that there's a homeless person, right? So you have no problem with that as long as animals are happy, okay? Yeah, but look, you know, the way I see it, at least, okay, I'm trying to, you know, the way I see it is that if you don't treat people well, you know, because the people are the owners, right? If you don't treat the people well, they're not going to treat their animals well, you know. And so we need to really treat people well, you know. Like it's not acceptable to me that we have people living on the streets, you know. And so there are many times the amount of suffering animals as humans. I guess so, but I guess Greatly lower taxes and lower this burden on humans. Okay. Yeah, but it gets endless, you know. I guess if there's one thing we can agree on is that there's you know, there's suffering everywhere, right? And whether you're human or animals or so, do you agree that we must greatly lower taxes? Depends on the tax. They were actually taking away a homeless guy's pet dog against his will, or they thought they weren't treating him well, or what's the deal? See, like, when it comes to real issues like that, things get a lot more complicated, right? So, it depends, like, why did they take it away? Is it because... Was it because he wasn't treating them well, or was it because he was homeless, right? Some people are so judgmental that they're like, "Oh, you're a homeless person. There's no way you can treat an animal well, right?" So then there's a little bit of like that class oppression, you know, class what do you call it? Class prejudice, yeah, going on. I guess if I had to say it, I'm more concerned about class issues, you know, because that really, when it comes down to it, you know, the people who can afford to pay, I don't know, chicken their dog into $100 pet hotel, they are a different class of people than the middle class and low income people, you know, and I think a lot of times they don't realize it. You know, they're projecting their privilege onto other people, and they don't realize it. You know, it's too bad. It's too bad they don't realize it, because I don't know. I just noticed there's a lot of lack of self-awareness, you know, around these parts, especially in LA. I'm honestly disturbed by some of your anti-animal rhetoric. Okay. Well, we can't agree on everything. Sorry to hear that. So, maybe we should talk about something else then. Have you ever watched the PETA videos on animal rights issues? I've watched a few. But I don't agree with the idea of prioritizing animals over people, if that's what you're asking. Oh, yeah. No, PETA has its share of problems too, you know. If this person's representing that group, then, you know, that's all mixed into there. And, you know, like, they're coming across, like, even this person right here is coming across as very, what's the word? You're coming across as very judgmental and, yeah, you know, I'm just being honest, you know. I deal with this stuff all the time, but if you're talking to a regular person, they might get very upset at the way you're talking to me right now, you know? I'm judgmental how? Well, that's for you to, I can't really, I mean, man. It's just like, you come in with an agenda, right? You came into this channel with an agenda, and it seems like you're not aware that you're projecting that, you know? And I wish I could explain it better, but that's for you to think about, you know? So, not my problem. Hey! Hey, Wago, how's it going? Oh, which one? If it feels that way, I'm sorry. Okay. No, I'm just being honest. You know? I would be careful, because it's not going to help your cause if you're being perceived that way, you know? So, stop chatting with trolls. Yeah, I'm just having fun right now. I know I'm being trolled right now, so I'm just kind of thinking of what to. Which video are you talking about? I do think my videos have been getting better, and after I decided to just pick one a day instead of like 500, you know. I feel like animals are never treated well. Some animals are. I don't know why you're being so extreme, you know? It seems like you see things in black and white. But I know you're mostly trolling right now, so. Because I know people who support animals, and they do not talk like that. Ah, the privileged underclass one. Yeah, see this one. Yeah, I'm pretty proud of this video because it kind of, you know, gets to the heart of the matter. I feel like, so. I can show you my profile thing. No, it's okay. I don't care. Yeah, I don't care. You don't have to justify yourself to me. I think that's the problem. You know, a lot of people who do politics or non-profits, you know, again, I'm just being honest. A lot of people who work for non-profits, they tend to have this like unmet need. You know, they want people to recognize how good of a person they are, and because and they get very frustrated when people don't see that in them, you know, and they have to really think about like what are they actually doing, right? Like if you want people's respect, you have to get rid of those feelings, otherwise it's never going to happen, you know. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm around a lot of political people all the time, and it's very common, you know. You're not alone. But one, nobody cares about who you are. You know, nobody cares what you have to say. And if you just assume that, then you'll be a better person, you know? It's not as that doesn't have to be negative. It's just like, you know, if you just like be yourself, people will respect you, you know? That's harder than clinging on to a political cause and telling everyone that you're a good person, you know. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Yeah, it's all about ego, you know. Yeah. So, whatever. Sorry for the lecture, but that's just how I feel. And I'm just gonna... Yeah. Nobody cares about that. It doesn't matter how many years. I've worked 6 years on a lot of things, but nobody cares. You know, that's the reality. Nobody cares. And the idea that you go around telling people what a good person you are is actually actively harming you. Yeah, nobody cares about that. You know, I did a lot of good things too in my life, but do you see me bragging about it? Sometimes. I do brag about it sometimes, but you have to just let it go. Let it go. I think a lot of people do care. Okay, get that validation from those people, not from me. You know, you're shoving that in my face right now, and I don't care. I'm sorry, you know. That's not how you earn people's respect. I'm sorry. Yeah, So just go with the flow, you know. Just like take it easy, man. You're like adding unnecessary stress to yourself. So yeah, I like Yang. I like Yang a lot because he doesn't care, right? Like remember, like Yang was the he was like the Obama's, like, you know, he was like the guy, the entrepreneurship guy. You know, and it took him like 2 years before he even mentioned that, right? Like he was like, "Oh yeah, so I was in Obama's," and Obama was like, "Yeah, wow, you're the what the visionary of the future," or was something like that, right? Like the head of entrepreneurship, and he never talks about it because he doesn't care. And you know, people had to like force him to say it out loud because, you know. Yeah, Yang has come a long way, man. We can win this. We can win this, honestly. You know, if things go well in Iowa, I think things are going well in New Hampshire. We can really take the whole thing. Like, gotta have faith, you know? At the very least, though, at the very least, he's already changed politics forever, you know? He's already done that, so, oh well. So, I don't know. This affects me too, because, you know, it changes. Like, if Andrew Yang wins, I would have supported a person like Yang. Yeah. I'm not gonna try to convince you. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're not gonna, you know, I've gotten better at identifying people who are probably not gonna vote for him. So it's fine. It's fine. You know, you do your thing, I'll do my thing. And we can, you know, it's just vote the way that you want. I'm not gonna try to convince you. Wait, he has a new ad. Oh, you know what I want to watch? Okay, I know what to do. I want to watch Mary Ann. Okay, I'll watch the ad. Tesla ad. Oh man. Is this the one?
The biggest reason we lost to Donald Trump is
Oh, yeah,
because millions of
I saw
jobs
this one.
were lost to automation and a transforming economy. I'm the only candidate who built a nonprofit that's created thousands of jobs. To defeat Trump, we need someone with the experience of tackling the economic challenges of our time. I've done that. And if you don't think automation and a transforming economy is costing jobs,
I saw this one.
think again, because it's happening right now.
Yeah, so if you want to vote for Warren, you should vote for Warren. But you know, she does very poorly among middle class and lower income people, so she's gonna lose in the general. You know, pretty much guaranteed. You know, so just keep that in mind when you vote for her. And I like Warren people, you know, I have a lot of friends who are Warren people. They're very smart, but they're a little bit blind to their privilege, you know, and that's why she's gonna lose. And you're kind of like displaying some of that right now, you know. It's like, you know, like you have the luxury to care about animals more than people, apparently. So, you know, if you're poor, man, you. So I see where you're coming from. Your arrogance has been showing through this whole stream. Yeah. I mean, it's just the facts. Are you talking to the bot? Oh, man. Watch it. Very good. Okay. Yeah, I think I hit a nerve there, but... Who says that fish have no feelings? Oh man, you know, like to people middle class and lower, right? You know how that sounds very ridiculous. I'm sorry. You know, like when you have, okay, picture someone who is a middle class person and they're worried about rent, you know, because they have like $500 in savings, and you know, they have like 2 kids, and their job, you know, doesn't pay enough, and they're worried about the future. Are you gonna tell them about fish feelings? I mean, seriously? Like, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm sorry about your kid, but you know, fishes have a feeling too. Like, you, yeah. So it's unfortunate, but Trump is gonna win. Trump is gonna win this year. I'll read through it. Okay. Fisher side. Wow, this is a real thing, huh? Wow. I mean, I agree that this is a problem, but is this a bigger problem than people living on the streets? You know, it's a matter about, it's about priorities, right? So, is that issue more important than people literally sleeping on the streets right now, you know? And that is really the core of the problem, you know? It's kind of like, well, yeah, they're both problems, but which one is more important? And if you're making a value, you have to make a value judgment, which do we spend more time on? And if you choose the fish over people, the people are going to get pissed. You know, that's just how it is. Like, hopefully where you live, city is more pathetic to the type of work you do. I would recommend checking it out before getting into, because you might get screwed somewhere down there. There you go. Okay, I want to see the town hall, or what? Marianne Williamson, Andrew Yang, because they were doing. Why can't we help both animals with the same amount of care and money? Because there's not enough money. There, you know, we have limited amount of resources. Right? We have to prioritize. And if you think that we have the time and money to do everything in the world, that comes across as being very naive, you know, and that is not how you win elections. You know, Americans are actually more practical than pragmatic than you think. So, there we go. Oh, this is the one.
Transactional.
You can ignore it because people have bigger problems, you know? People have bigger problems, like, to deal with more than fish feelings, you know? I'm sorry, but that's just the truth. No, I'm not watching it, I'm sorry. If you want to make a point, make it from your own mouth, okay?
We are living at a time where we are moving from a transactional to a relational way of being. And we need to move from a transactional to a relational way of leadership.
Yeah,
And this is one of the
relational,
reasons why I think Andrew
not
is
transactions.
the person for the job. Because there is a transactional politics that is part of the Democratic and Republican establishment. And even the best people are stuck within that box.
Hey, QP, welcome
and
back.
I have witnessed and I've experienced and I've been the beneficiary of the fact that Andrew does not think about political issues just in terms of, you talk about math and you talk about intellectually figuring these things out, which no one does better than you. But I've known you to be someone who will stand in the moment and really listen to the person in front of you and allow what in Fairfield we can understand is so profound, the organic flow of wisdom that is emerging from that moment. And I believe with the chaos that is coming in the 21st century, with the chaos that is already here, nothing is more important than that we have a leader who can stand within the space of what is happening and respond not only from your head, but from your heart.
I should never do an event without Marianne Williamson again. Marianne, you're stuck with me. The rest of this campaign. No, I'm kidding.
Oh man, I really like this. I really like that this happened. Yesterday, Bernie Bro cried. Yeah, they do that all the time, man. Like they love protesting people. They like barking up the wrong tree. They go and they just like show up, and what were they doing? Were they just like asking stupid questions? Probably. Yeah, PETA runs kill shelters, I mean, it's part of their job, they have to keep certain populations out of control, and if you're, like, just willingly blinding yourself to that, that's, I don't know, So, I think you gotta do a little bit more, reflection on that. They have good intentions, but you gotta like, I'm all for treating animals well, but there are, oh no, the vegan thing. No, I'm not a vegan. No. If you look at my Instagram, I have a lot of pictures of food and yeah, well, the thing is, like, a lot of those things are feel good things but once you start digging into like the facts and reality and stuff, then it's like, oh, well, it turns out that PETA runs kill shelters. Turns out that veganism does not actually help that much. Like, how can you go, oh, see, I knew this question was coming. Let me use the bathroom and I'll be right back. I'm not doing anything. I'm just killing time before the text banking session today, anyway. So, how can you claim to care about humanity if you are eating meat? Do you realize the contradiction in that statement that you just made? Free the poor dogs. I don't think they're even real, but you know, I'm just having fun at this point. Oh, is it a contradiction? Oh man, so if you don't realize that, oh man. Ooh, it's bad. Oh god. I think your confusion is that you have somehow unable to process the idea that humanity and humans and animals are different. So that's probably why you don't realize. Right, so I've had some people who are like, why are you eating meat? Isn't it humanity? I even had somebody with a yang yang say, what? Like, humanity first. Why are you eating meat? Right? And I'm like, yeah, humanity first. You know? like seriously, like, yeah, humanity first, right? Does it kill and harm animals for meat? Is it okay? I don't know. I think okay is a loaded word, but that's just the way things are, you know. And so you know, you could have a debate about that kind of stuff, about, you know, animal ethics and morality and all that, but the bigger, really the bigger thing, the bigger issue is that it is a cultural thing, right? Veganism started in the West, right? Like this idea of like, we need to... I'm not talking about like I'm not talking about vegetarian, and actually Alekia would be able to talk more about this, right? Because is it vegan and or at least vegetarian lifestyles in India, that's normal, right? That's part of the religion, right? It's part of Hinduism, right? For some people, because I have Indian friends who like are vegetarian, and they're like, yeah, that's how I grew up, you know. It didn't work out. Oh man, going from a meat eater to a vegan is not easy. And so, you know, if you want that lifestyle, that is, you know, it's actually part of some people's spiritual beliefs, you know. Yeah, but like kind of the things that you're doing right now, which is like, you know, vegetarianism doesn't go far enough. You know, you don't get that kind of rhetoric from Indian people, because, you know, they're like, yeah, this is my belief and I'm doing this, and the whole idea is that we need to convert people to veganism is a very Western thing, you know, and I find it a little bit arrogant, you know. Yeah, see, like, you know, they are being catered to, right? Even KFC, wow. But again, it's a matter of priorities, right? Like, there's a ton of problems in the world. Is that with the hill you're gonna die on, right? That's the thing. It's like, I hope you're happy with your hill, because, man, you only can do so many things in life, and you have to choose what's important to you. And if that is like the hill you're gonna die on, then, well, I hope you're happy with that choice, you know. But I saw a clip of the town hall here. See, oh man, you just contradicted yourself again. Oh man, so earlier you were telling me about what about feelings, and then now you don't care about my feelings. Man, okay, see, we're getting more honest now. I've had vegetarian. Okay, here. Oh man, you want to get it? Oh. All right. Yeah, and you should respect people's choices about those matters. You know, the biggest problem is that you're not respecting other people's personal choices. And I would say that, you know, most of the vegans who are cool, you know, the cool vegans, they don't do that. You know, they're like, okay, I am doing, you know, my diet choices is my personal choice, and I respect other people's too, and that's the best way. Makes me curious about it. But the biggest problem with vegan, I would say, is the cost. You know, because okay, yeah, you could technically like cook your own food, you know, but if you just look around at all the restaurants out there, right? Fast food. This is changing though. This is starting to change a little bit, but you notice that like getting an Impossible Burger is not cheaper than a regular burger. You know? Yeah, it needs to be more accessible and it needs to be cheaper. And so, again, there's a little bit of privilege, you know, oppression going on there, because it's like, you know, like you have people with a lot of money, like scolding middle class and lower income people about, man, you're not supposed to be eating meat. But then if you look at how much it costs to eat at a vegan restaurant in LA, it's expensive as hell, man. Like, and it doesn't leave you feeling full, so you have to eat even more. You know, it's a money thing. Very excessive. It's not cheaper though. It's not cheaper. And so if you want people to become vegans, I would suggest you figure out ways to make it cheaper for poor people to do it. You know? Instead of moralizing. Because that's a huge turnoff. Oh man, yeah, people hate that shit. Yeah. People hate it when you moralize them, you know? And that's the reason why people vote for Trump, by the way. Yeah, see, QOP here, she's a Latina, you know, she lives in LA. We can't afford it to buy canned vegetable. Wow, you're just getting mean now, man. It's like you're telling people what to eat, telling people how to enjoy things, you know? You're taking away pleasure from other people, and they hate that. Oh, man. Oh yeah. You go to a low income community and say that to their face. No, just go to one of these communities and tell them to their face. Let's see how that goes. You know, let me know. Oh yeah. Tell them, yeah, eat canned foods. Yeah, stop eating your meat. You know, you heathens. Oh, bad. Yeah, but see, that's the problem with oh man, yeah, I know. See, poor people don't have time, right? And see, the other argument they use is like, hey, okay, yeah, I know vegan restaurants are very expensive and kind of poshy right now. You know, that's the truth. They're all pretty posh, you know. And then, why can't you? Because they don't have time. You know? So you're asking people to just eat frozen veggies. You know, people who are already struggling, you're like, you know, well, you're telling them to eat canned foods and frozen vegetables for the rest of their life. Wow, you know. And it doesn't seem like you're aware of how you're coming across, you know. So there you go. Yeah. No, see, like this person here is like really, they're really illustrating the whole problem with the movement.
And I'd love to, well, you know, I should also mention that I met her for the first time in person in New Hampshire, and I felt so lucky to have my book signed. And I'm so happy to be introducing her this evening. Please.
I know, they're taking away, they're literally trying to take away pleasure from the lower classes, you know? And they probably don't see it that way, but that is how it ends up in practice. And people get mad, and then it really motivates them to want to vote for people like Trump just to piss off people, you know? No, I'm gonna stop talking about this.
Join me in welcoming Marianne Williamson.
Yeah, Marianne. Yeah, see, one thing you're not getting is that poor people don't have the time to do that kind of stuff. They're working 3 jobs. Okay? So someone who's working 3 jobs does not have the time to pick up a cookbook, learn this entirely new skill set that they've never heard of before. You know, they should honestly be spending their time, you know, going to school or getting a better job, you know, and then so there's just like this projection of privilege that they really don't like, you know. And this is a good example of it. Yeah. So it's great, you know. It has noble, you know, veganism has noble goals, and I recognize that in them, but it's not there yet. And if you don't make it easier for people to do this stuff, they're not gonna buy it, you know. That's the problem. That's the problem. That is the problem with the movement. And if you should be working on fixing that rather than moralizing people right now, you know. So that's it. That's all I got to say. I am done.
It's great to be back in Fairfield always. It was a very meaningful experience for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn off. I want to hear this.
Something that I recognize as very profound. You feel it here in Iowa. You feel it in New Hampshire as well, I must say. And
Yeah. Americans are very bad at talking about class. You know. Everybody in America is equal. That's what they like to think.
And it was a privilege to be part of this. You recognize how consequential it is, possibly for the entire people. And I am grateful for the opportunity to express to you why I feel Andrew's voice deserves serious consideration. I think that if every American, the older I get, and the more involved I have been with this situation, the more I recognize the profundity of the Jeffersonian concept, that the only safe place, the only safe repository for power in the United States of America is in the hands of its people.
Woo!
The concept here, which is so radical and so profound, is that if you have all the information and you have honed critical thought processes given by free press, free flow of information, free speech, and free public education, that you and you alone, according to the dictates of your own conscience.
Yeah, people care more about class than they do about, you
You
know,
are, that your decision making and your decision making alone
ideal. You know, it's very
the
ideal.
governing power of a great country.
For the record, I like the Indian vegans and vegetarians, you know, because like they've been doing this for a while, right? They've been doing it for a long time, and there's a culture surrounding it, and there's a reason why they only eat certain things, and it goes much deeper, you know. It goes much deeper than like I don't know, the fashionable, you know. It's just fashion, right? There's a tradition that is backing that type of lifestyle. In America, we don't have that. You know, they just came up with this shit for marketing reasons. You know, and people bought it, bought into it. You know, yeah.
I have great respect for the fact that you will know on February 3rd who to caucus for. I have great respect for
It's coming from the food industry lobby. You know, it's the corn industry trying to undermine the meat industry. Yeah, I'm sure there's some of that going on. You just just follow the money, you know. These movements are being propped up by certain capitalist interests.
I'm a leftist, I'm a progressive, and I'm a proud progressive. And I believe very strongly that the Democratic nominee should be a progressive. That, to me, is not in question. But you know, while a lot of Democrats are thinking, should we go left or should we go center? I believe that we have another decision to make, not only left versus center, and that's fresh versus stable.
There's a lot of There's a lot of trolls today.
In addition to the issues themselves. The issues aren't always the only issue. There are deeper psychological and emotional
Yeah, there's a certain arrogance behind the vegan movement that needs to be purged, you know.
Yeah.
Then people would take it more seriously. You know, it's a step. They're missing that step.
But you're choosing a nominee based on how that nominee will be perceived by the people we need to vote for us in 2020. The way I see it.
All right, see you later then. See you later, free to poor dogs.
And there are people who cannot stand the agenda of Trump, and they're going to vote for the Democrat no matter what. Those two groups we don't even have to think about. Yeah. The problem is those two groups are too close in number for comfort.
Yeah.
We have to think for all the,
yeah.
all the millions of people who
Amen, Spence.
and all the millions of people I believe
I love Marianne.
but are at least uncomfortable. And this is what I believe with my heart. You'll have to see what is true in your heart.
Yeah, just do it. Stop talking about it. Just do it. Yeah. Put your mouth where your word is, or other way around. Yeah.
Moral outrage is not born of anger. Moral outrage is born of love. I don't believe this time, even though that the emotional tenor last time was rage, and it was legitimate rage. It was rage based on the fact that millions of people knew that the system was rigged against them. I, however, do not believe that the emotional tenor this time is.
I know. Why is everybody? Why is that people's approach on the internet to everything? Fuck you. Support my shit. You know. That's just how it is. You know. Like it's unfortunate. We need to fix the internet. Yeah, because it's healthy, not because you are a morally superior person, right? I can respect that. I know lots of vegans, you know, I know lots of vegans and vegetarians. They're like, yeah, I just like veggies. Okay, cool, me too. But I eat meat too, and they're like cool with it. You know, it's fine. It's fine. Like, what? It's just. Ugh. But once in a while, you just have this. Once in a while, you just have someone who's just like, oh my god, if you're not a vegan, you're a terrible person. And I'm like, no, I'm not having that, man. Oh, you don't like veggies? So you're doing it literally for the health. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. I'd rather eat the bad stuff. I know the bad stuff is so tasty, but yeah. Hey, okay. I'm definitely not a staple of Don't use me as an example. For good health, but no videos, please. Sorry. No videos. Just tell me what. There's a guy in Discord trying to get to be vegan. Oh man, ugh. I hate it when they get pushy, man. No, they don't care because that's not what that's what they're not there for that, you know. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be on the round table on Monday, guys. Okay. So I'm gonna be on the round table. I'm gonna go with. I contacted Leon, you know, so I'll be there representing Yang and housing. So hopefully, maybe that'll get me a little bit more followers. I've been kind of putting it off for a while, but yesterday I looked at their roundtable and they were talking about housing. So it's like, okay, that's something I could add. I forget what was the last one I was watching. I was just like, I'm gonna stream it. Yeah, I'll stream it. I don't know. So I don't know. I was hanging out with my brother yesterday. I think the one I saw was just kind of they're just talking about whatever. I'm just like, I don't know. But they were talking about housing and real stuff yesterday. So last night, so I was like, okay, all right, I'll join. Okay, I'll check this out later. Let's finish this up though.
Christopher, I agree with you.
They're going to place in Iowa. They're going to place in Iowa. But we need Andrew to, if you believe that what you hear tonight, and I believe.
Yeah, and I liked the discussion yesterday because I was a little bit worried that it was going to be like too skewed towards like one perspective, but there's pretty. I didn't see any Trump people on there, that would have been interesting, but it had a pretty good balance of perspectives, so I'm a little bit more motivated to do it now. Yang will never get the white vote. The whites on a tough border. Okay, yeah, you came in with that question. I wasn't sure if you're trolling me or not. That was the thing. Like, people come in here and then they ask me really pointed, like, they're not arguing in good faith, so I have to. But it seems like, okay, so you're pretty serious about the immigration thing. So yeah, I don't know, QLP, what do you think about the immigration thing? Because she's Latina, and yeah, Bernie. Well, does Bernie want? I don't think anybody is for open borders, right? It's just a matter of how the degree in which how strict we want the borders to be, right? Yang has not taken a real strong stance on immigration at this point, so you could try check it out, see if it's how he wants smarter borders, okay? So the wall ain't gonna work, okay? It's just a fucking wall, and there's lots of ways to get around a wall. I think he wants better. Oh, okay, I remember now. I remember. So okay, you're Mexican, colonial chickenator. Okay. I had chicken last night. I didn't want to say that out loud in front of the vegan person, but but yeah, okay. So Yang's stance on immigration is, I remember now, is that oh, thanks for the link, Jojo, is that he wants to, and you know, you're gonna say that this is a cop out answer, but he's gonna say that we need to improve the way that we monitor our borders, because a lot of the dysfunctions that come from, you know, like the whole caging the kids thing, and all that kind of stuff comes from a like basically a broken, you know, a broken like border patrol system, right? So he is, you know, he is in favor of securing the borders, okay? Okay, and he makes it human trafficking, you know, okay, yeah, this is a big problem now, you know, like, this is depressing as fuck, man. Anyway, okay, he updated a little bit since I last saw it. So this is like the one I remember. So, you know, we need better border patrol methods, and yeah, I don't like the wall. Okay, you know what the problem with the wall is? You know what the problem with the wall is that border patrol officers need to be able to see over the wall in order to see what's going on, you know? And like a fence would actually be better than a wall, because at least with the fence you can see through it, right? And they're like, okay, now we have this big ass wall, and it's going to make it harder. It's the wall is not the right solution, okay? If you want to enforce the borders, so but it is like, and he wants to kind of streamline the whole border patrol, like you know, the government. If you're like on the right, you know, the government is full of problems. So border patrol does it. I think you're underestimating how easy it is for people to jump over a wall. And if you're talking about someone who is like, I need to get the fuck out of Mexico and go to America, you know, you're talking about people who are pretty desperate. You know, they're gonna do anything. So lots of kidnap, yeah, no, like sex trafficking and all that shit. And the homelessness thing, that it makes it worse. Because, you know, we're creating a lot of desperate people right now. So, anyway, I knew this is not going to satisfy you guys, okay? I'm not going to pretend that Andrew Yang has the fix-all policy, you know, to border security. But he is not. I would say that out of all the Democrats, like, out of all the Democrats, okay, you're gone. All right, good. I know, and then they come in and do that kind of shit, and they expect people to take them seriously. That is like, that's the whole problem right there. You know, that's the whole problem. So yeah, I don't expect you guys to be like, wow, Andrew Yang is so great on Border Patrol, you know, like, but I would say that Yang is thinking about the problem in the most serious way, you know. I don't know. I'm not really concerned about trying to win over people on the right now, because we have to win the primary, man. We have to
Presenting to the American people a vision that I think is extremely important.
just saying Yang will never get the one. Well, okay, we'll see then.
And not every
We'll
one
see.
person is a victim. That is a continuation of a warlike mentality.
That's
Martin was outraged
it's
about
not nothing we can really, you know, it'll either happen or not happen. You know?
the British. And Martin Luther King was outraged about segregation, but he refused to personally demonize.
Yeah, I triggered the vegan person because I tied in the whole vegan thing to class. You know, like I turned the whole vegan thing into, wow, that's a very privileged standpoint. I think that triggered her. No, no, is it her or is it a guy? I don't know. I can't. It's the internet.
So many of us feel as important. I promise you, he even thinks about it. I'll call him myself.
Yeah, he chased after her to give her a hug. Woo! This is in Iowa, right? Listen, I want to. Okay. Who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? Sorry, no infidelity allowed in Twitch chat. It's all right. That's a huge crowd. There's a big crowd. See, this is why we're gonna win. Yeah. Obviously, me. Oh, thank you, but you know, I think thanks for the offer, but you know, I think you should you know, you should keep your wife. I need $1 million. Yeah, most guys would be like, "Oh yeah, right away. Yeah, yeah, like, give me that shit." But then, no. You gotta calm down. Don't just think with your dick, okay? Just be like, okay, wait a minute. How much money can I get out of this? Yeah. Yeah, it's a new guy, so, you know, like, we at the Yang Gang, we talk, you know, we talk to people on the right, you know, as long as you're not too extreme, we talk to people on the right all the time, so you're always welcome here. Would you let Yang fuck your wife? Oh man. Yeah, well, I'm not married, so it's a non-issue for me, but Dims don't want to discuss it. Yeah, you wanna talk about, oh man. Okay, let's listen to this. Is only a minute. Yeah.
President, what are the Republicans hiding?
I want to talk about your agenda. You want the government to pay for everyone's health care.
I want the United States to do what every other major country on earth does, guarantee health care to all people as a human right.
But you've been confronted by voters on the campaign trail and acknowledged that there will be job losses as a result of such a plan. Is that a hard sell, that your plan is going to cause...
Yeah, if it were true, it might be a hard sell. The American people want a health care system that works for them.
Wow, okay. You would let Trump fuck your wife, huh?
Every day, and the insurance companies. At the end of the day, we will create more jobs. Will there be some job loss? Yes, there will. We're going to create more jobs. We need more doctors, we need more nurses, we need more psychologists and psychiatrists to help us deal with the opioid epidemic. There'll be a net plus of jobs.
You are a self-proclaimed socialist.
Democratic. Put in there, please.
Thank you. Your agenda has promised free health care for everybody, free college tuition, and to pay off people's college loans. The price tag for that is estimated to be $60 trillion over 10 years.
60 trillion.
Well, look, we have political opponents.
You don't know. You don't know how much your plan costs.
You don't know. Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
You're going to propose a plan to the American people, and you're not going to tell them how much it costs?
Of course, I will. You know exactly what health care costs will be in the next 10 years if we do nothing.
He's struggling, man.
It will be a lot more expensive than a Medicare for all single-payer system.
Let me ask you about Vice.
Yeah, man. This is kind of like showing his weakness, you know. Like Bernie is not good with the details. Right? Oh man. Okay. See you later, Jojo. Nice to see you though. Good luck canvassing, and thank you for going to New Hampshire, because I need that cash. I need Andrew Yang to win. All right. At least Yang is on. No, he's a He calls it human-centered capitalism, right? Capitalism that doesn't start at zero. So that's why the UBI is there. But after $1,000 a month, you're on your own. You know, it's just a little cushion on the bottom, so that, you know, if you fail, you start a business and it fails, you're not fucked. You know, that's what it comes down to. Like, you don't want to. You want people to have a cushion so that they can take higher risks. You know, this is the same in the startup world, the same in the small businesses. You know, this will help everyone. Like, and so that's why a lot of Republicans like Yang, because he is pro-business. You know, especially small businesses. You know, if you're thinking of starting your own business, and I'm thinking about it too now, because I'm like, man, I don't know if I can work a regular job anymore, but that's a whole separate issue, you know. But it's right now the United States is, and he's very honest about this, you know, the United States, starting a new business in the United States is a nightmare. You know, we make it really hard for small businesses to thrive. And a lot of the problems are political, you know, and this is why I get it. I get why people vote for Trump, because you know, you're just trying to do a good thing, right? And then then the government comes in with all these regulations, and they make your day a nightmare, and then they're like, hey, be a vegan or you're a bad person. Okay, I don't know. You know, not a dang communist. Okay, that's a start. That's a start. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the version of Bernie's Learn to Code, right? Yeah, we have to compete with Amazon, you know, Walmart, those big ass corporations. And that's the thing, man. Like, there's a whole problem, right? Like, people like Warren, and I don't know about Warren, but Warren and Bernie tend to advocate for minimum wage, right? And minimum wage hurts small businesses, right? If you're on the right, you can probably agree with me on that. And what ends up happening is that they think they're like railing against the system or whatever, but it ends up helping big businesses the most, you know, because they can afford it. They can afford a $15 minimum wage. The small businesses, they cannot, so it puts the small businesses out of business, and then it's like corporations take control of the market, and they're like, what? And then you know, like why is it, why, despite my efforts, why are things getting worse, you know? And it's real hard to get them out of that mindset, because like the same with rent control, right? Rent control actually hurts poor people, but they think they're helping, but they're actually hurting, right? And so yeah, it's tricky. I used to be, there's parts of me that are really, really far left. Like, I want bigger federal government, okay? You're probably going to disagree with that point of view, but I want the federal government to have more power, because I don't trust the local governments to make good decisions. And that's probably why I come across as a little bit, you know, top down sometimes, but Makata has a business selling fortune treats, desserts. Wow. Oh yeah, right? Like they were thinking about doing the fat tax thing, right? Yeah, so there's all these like good intentions gone horribly wrong in the in the Democratic party right now, and so that's why I support Yang. I want Yang, like Yang is an opportunity to fix all that, you know, make Democrats really stand for what, you know, like I believe in liberal ideals, you know, but we're not quite doing it right. So At some point in the line, the smallest will become the next Amazon. Yeah, but see, it's like a winner take all, right? Like, there's only one Amazon, right? And Amazon controls everything now. And we have done nothing really to make it easier. Diversity creates. Okay, I disagree about that. I come from Hawaii. I was born and raised in Hawaii. We have one of the most diverse places in the world, and things are good. Well, it's not perfect, but you know, Hawaii has a reputation for being a very pleasant place to live. But it's more than that, though. You know, it's like a lot of the conflicts. Like honestly, a lot of the conflicts we see in the United States right now, it's class. You know, it's money. So I don't want people to confuse economic adversity and racial adversity, you know. Differences do not. Yeah, this is a Bernie guy. No, thank you. I already know. Oh, I'm not going down that route. No. Wealth distribution is screwed in it. Yeah, it's fucked up, man. So, like, things are really. Wow, 45. Okay, I haven't checked it in like a month. But... Wow. Okay. Right. So I do a lot of things, you know. Do a lot of things. There it is. This is an article I wrote a while ago. I use this a lot because I talk about housing a lot. You can check it out if you're interested, but but here's the problem, okay? Here's the problem. This is how much you're making. This is how much housing costs, alright? Housing has outpaced wage growth in the last 20 years or so. And so, unless, you know, you've been getting so you could be working as hard as you want, but over time you're actually losing money. Okay, so you're a moderate right, I would say, colonial. That's fair enough. No, my brother's kind of in a similar point of view as you, so. Yeah, I do think, I mean, it's tough because, yeah, you know, different opinions do have can be a source of conflict, but I don't think race is the right one to focus on, you know? And, you know, you probably have, you know, you're not wrong on certain things about that. You know, culture does make a big difference, but I do think, like, the biggest conflicts between different groups come from money. It's economic. So, and Americans are really bad at talking about money, man. I've learned that. It makes them uncomfortable because it's like, because you meet a lot of people who are like super rich, and they're like, I think, you know, they think they're middle class. There are people who are rich that still believe, like, unironically, that they're middle class. And so, I don't know. Yeah, things are bad, man. Like, See, this chart alone, if it just keeps on going, everybody will be homeless. You know, if this trend continues, everybody's going to in a couple of decades, everybody's going to be 99% of the population is going to be homeless. So we have to do something about it, but the people running the show right now don't want to, you know, they're not budging. So all right, well, whatever, class, you know, class conflict and all that. Oppressed people need to get off their whiny ass and go to meetings. Yeah, there's a nicer way of saying that, but she's not wrong. Let me make it simpler. For housing issues, we need more renters to get up. So there you go. Media plays a game acting like all races are identical. Do they? I thought they tend to over-exaggerate people's differences. That's kind of how I read the media these days. Depends what you're reading, right? But because the thing is, like, most people running in the race right now, right? They're not that much different from each other. You know, like, honestly, if you just look at all the Democrats, except for Yang is a weirdo, okay? But their platform and their policies, you know, they're not really, like, most of them are almost the same, right? And what they're doing right now in the media is like they're like over exaggerating the differences, right? Like, oh man, like that moment when Warren said, "Did you call me a liar on national TV, Bernie Sanders?" And like you called me a liar, you know. It's like the more similar they are, the more they argue because they're trying to differentiate themselves, you know, like. So I don't know what you mean by everyone looks the same, but hey, Catboy, welcome.
How's it, Yang and dudes? My name is Sean. Welcome back to my channel. And
I saw this. I saw this. We took over a Trump Facebook group. That was funny. But
this is a very important, very historic thing that happened. I know it seems like a small blip on the radar, but if you remember back in 2016, there was a huge, push from Facebook to put Trump in office. Not because Facebook, I'm not saying Mark Zuckerberg did, but just on Facebook itself and ads and all kinds of stuff that really pushed Facebook to the forefront of election meddling, really. I mean, there's so many bots on there. There was Russian bots. There was all kinds of different stuff, that was found out to be on there. So make no mistake, don't underplay this. This is very important. As hilarious as it is super important, guys. And you guys can't understate just... I'll go on to say later in this video, but this would only happen with Yang. Yang is the only person who, because we're a non-ideological driven movement, we're only data. That's the sorry, Godless, but that's
Don Lemon is probably the worst new producer. Racists have super high crime rates. Well, again, I think that's a matter of economics. It's due to lack of funding for police, which they do disproportionately get less of, It's like, when you're a poor community, right? If you're a poor community, you don't have the money to raise, like, a competent police force, for example, right? So it's a problem that propels itself, you know. And if you go to the rich neighborhoods who are full of millionaires, yeah, they have a really nice police station. You notice that? The police stations in the low-income neighborhoods look like shit. And what we're not being honest about is that we are not allocating resources in an even way as we should. You know, if you're a good liberal, you should be like, every police station should look the same, no matter, you know, if you're in a rich neighborhood or a poor neighborhood, but that's not how it works in reality, right? It's like, so I really want to get past the race thing and talk about, you know, economics, because I think that is where all the juicy stuff is. At the end of the day, nobody wants to live around it. Thus, we have racism. Oh, that's what you meant. Yeah, nobody cares. That's the problem. People don't give a shit. And it drives me nuts that Democrats pretend to care, but they don't do anything about it either. Same in housing, you know? So now I don't trust either party. I can't trust either party because they're just both bad. They're both bad. Conservatives are a little bit more honest about the fact that they don't care, but
that's the reason why you know, this would work with Trump. It wouldn't work with Bernie.
Still doesn't solve the problem, you know.
But Yang is actually converting a lot of these people, right? And this is one of the larger secret Trump groups out there. So that to me is just insane. I just wanted to add that little aside in here, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is just glorious, and this wouldn't have worked if it was Bernie Sanders or anything like that. And a lot of the Trumpers turned gang now are kind of still a little more vitriolic. I have some images on the screen of some, you know, DMs, right? But overall, I think this is awesome. Right now, this is the older page, so here's a newer page you see with some newer stuff.
As a white person, you don't want to live around them. Well, nobody's asking you to, but I'm just saying that there are ways to solve these problems. You know, the same with housing, right? There's lots of good ideas floating around out there that could actually solve this problem in a meaningful way, right? And we're just not doing it because the people in office right now just don't want to do anything. So that's why I got politically involved, you know? Like, we have to do something, like. And it's not good for white neighborhoods too, you know, if you have like these ghettos that are full of crime, because like that stuff spills in, you know, you don't live in a vacuum, right? And you know, if you notice like mass shootings, for example, right? We have the highest mass shootings in the world right now, and it's ridiculous, right? Like school shootings have become a routine thing. Doesn't that make you scared, right? Why is that? Because we have economic turmoil, right? And so when I talk to people on the right, I usually tell them that like it's in your own interest to support things like UBI or social safety nets, because like that shit's gonna come. You know, if you have desperate people in the middle class, that's really bad, because middle class people, you know, they're educated enough to learn how to like shoot a gun or make a bomb or, you know, all those dangerous things. And if they're in a point of desperation, they're going to do something crazy, you know? Like, they're gonna...
It's just a complete, total takeover. Now, the original person... Okay, so the original person, Jonathan, whatever that last name is, says back in 2016 he started a secret Trump group.
Hey, thanks for backing me up. Yeah, no. Like, you got to be careful with the race thing, because if you decide to make that your focus, right? It's like a self-fulfilling thing, right? If you just talk about race all the time, of course that's what you're gonna see. You know, if you frame your conversations around race, you're just going to see racism all the time. And it's, you know, some of it is true, but you know, there are other things, you know, other things that work. And
a huge
Should be
Trump
just
supporter
be
would
you know
readily
just be a
feel
little bit
free to shame me.
aware of.
If y'all would like to
Right.
access the group to yang some Trumpers, I'll let you in. I've been inactive on the group for about 2 years and rage quit multiple times, but I'm still admin. Have at it.
Hey,
So
he's
Trumpers
using the same
are on
browser
team
as I
to me
am.
to win this. This is
Yeah.
a great way to gain even more ground. If you are
Great
blocked out of the door
browser.
by another admin or mod, just let me know and I'll fix it. We will be attacked, but ignore it. Easier way in. Don't take the bait. Don't bait. It won't be easy
Don't
task. It's really
bait.
toxic. Only people with the experience this kind of space give it give it a go, and it's great. So I've messaged this person, and as you see, there's nothing. This is the backstory, and I can't
Secret.
get an interview with this person. I was
Wait,
going to do
wait.
like a highly edited video and have like an interview with who's going on, but unfortunately, there is no messages back except for right. So I don't really know, guys. That's a little unfortunate because I really wanted to. This video is brought to you by Patreon. I have a link, at the main channel page. I have a link right here at the main channel page. You guys can go and check out my Patreon if you guys want to. And also, this video wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for people like this, Swirling Panda who drops these links in here. I will say that a lot of these people are toxic because they are Trumpers who are just naturally.
Oh, I want to click on this.
Ornery, right?
Okay, let's click on it. Erica's great.
No better feeling than walking down the street and seeing nothing but Andrew Yang signs. We have one right there, and then we have one at this house down here. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. No better feeling.
Oh man, she's so positive. I love her. But just a reminder, March 1st, Andrew Yang is going to be in Crenshaw on we're talking about race right now, right? Like he's gonna be talking to the African American neighborhood. It's gonna be really interesting. Crenshaw is like a neighborhood in Los Angeles, by the way. So it's a historically black neighborhood. It's very iconic. So perfect. See, Ben Shapiro likes Andrew Yang too, and he's a right wing guy. Yeah.
Give you another example of how the woke left is ruining America. So Andrew Yang, right? Andrew Yang is according to the Emerson poll now running fourth, right? He has like 8% in national polls, according to some polls, which is amazing for a dude who's been completely shut out of the media. Andrew Yang had the temerity to appear with me on a Sunday special where he had an hour-long discussion of...
Oh, yeah, sorry, Mr. Question. I'll answer the rent control thing as well.
Universal basic income that was completely cordial and interesting and fun and informative. It has millions of views online. He was blasted for the sin of that. Blasted for it. One of the reasons Andrew Yang is popular is because Andrew Yang is willing to have conversations with people who disagree without demonizing them. Meanwhile, you get Pete Buttigieg. Pete Buttigieg has catered to the woke left every step of the way. Very early on in the campaign, when he first announced, I invited Pete Buttigieg to come on the Sunday special. And his campaign manager said he'd love to come on the Sunday special because at that point he had no attention. And then they got so much blowback that he just ghosted, right? Then it was like, nope, don't exist anymore. Not interested in coming on. Not even going to respond to emails. Okay, that is not how you build a coalition, obviously. But the Democrats are not interested in building a coalition. The woke Democrats, at least, are not interested in building a coalition. And let's be frank about this. I hate giving advice to Democrats. Let's be frank about this, Democrats. If you are going to force Joe Rogan out of your circle, if you're going to say that Joe Rogan cannot, you cannot tout an endorsement from Joe Rogan because he said some bad things about how men are men and women are women, good luck to you. Good luck to you. You're going to have to win some people like Joe Rogan if you hope to win an election. And you want to push Joe Rogan over to my side of the aisle? Keep doing this kind of stuff. Seriously. You want to push people like Joe Rogan, people like Andrew Yang over to my side of the aisle? All you have to do is keep being vicious jackasses all the time and dredging up old comments and then suggesting, well, this person is very bad. This is a very bad person.
Oh, man. I mean, yeah, so that's the problem with Democrats right now. They're pissing off a lot of moderates and independents right now, especially with the impeachment thing. The impeachment thing is not going over well with the independents. So, yeah, but you know what's going on with Joe Rogan right now? So, you probably heard, right? I mean, everybody's talking about it. Joe Rogan endorsed Bernie Sanders, and then some of the people on the left are not happy with that, and they're attacking him. And it puts, I don't know, it's like, imagine that you're an undecided Joe Rogan fan, right? And then you're like, I like Joe Rogan, but I don't pay much attention. And like, oh, he endorsed Bernie Sanders. Maybe I should check it out. And then all of a sudden, his supporters start attacking you, like, 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 what are they doing? Like, don't they want to win? It's like, God. I don't know. That's the worst part of it. It's just like they attack people and expect that I don't. It doesn't even make any sense. Yeah. So okay. Institutional racism. So I'll start with that one since it was kind of relevant, but it does exist. And, I think some of the Republicans will agree with me, and we have a racism problem even in the Democratic Party. For example, oh man, this would be good. Nancy Pelosi, Presidio. Is this it? Okay, well, let's look at the map first. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so this is San Francisco. All the Republicans love San Francisco, right? Man, like this is the best. This is the heaven on earth. But actually, when you go there, the streets are literally full of human shit because they couldn't be bothered to build bathrooms. I was there. Okay, so this is where Nancy Pelosi lives. Notice how different this place is compared to everyone else. She's literally on the hill looking down at everyone. So, just for context, and you might be interested in learning that. Okay, hold on. Wait, what? No, Presidio. Okay, is this in here? History. Okay, no, it's not here. But anyway, in this neighborhood was explicitly racist until the 1950s. So until the 1950s, they weren't allowed to if you weren't white, you weren't allowed to you weren't allowed in. You're like, it was a whites only community, I would say. This is the whitewashed version. Hold on. There is that comment. Wiki. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. See? It was white residents only, and it was only until 1948 where the Supreme Court said, hey, can't do that. Not actually you wish to the 50. Okay, well, I mean, if you're white, sure. But so anyway, that's just more bullshit. Yeah.
But this is awesome. And look, guys, it's been a complete takeover. So to all my beloved Trumpers, I'm sorry I've been keeping a terrible secret from you all. Trumpers right to the final page. It's been controlled by the Yang Gang all along. There's this one, Donald Trump, Bernie Sanders, 2020.
No.
Oh, man.
Okay, so what happened? Okay, I got I actually know what went on with this thing. So, this is not a small group. It has 150,000 members, and so what happened was that couple of weeks ago, the Yang took over this this Facebook group, and apparently the owner was the owner of this group here, or one of the major admins anyway. He owned a vape shop. He owned a vape shop, and then he was real pissed that one of Trump's laws passed and basically got banned, or I don't know. He was really pissed about it. So then he joined the Yang Gang, and then took over the took over the Facebook group, and everyone was like, "What's going on?" And he started inviting everybody in the Yang Gang to like. So the good news is that I heard a lot of good conversations happen here, and so why do Pelosi and Feinstein live in Manchester? Yeah. I mean, they just don't care. Like, I don't like Pelosi at all because she's a NIMBY. She blocks housing. Like, she is part of the problem why we have a massive housing shortage right now. So, hey
guys, I hope you're having a great.
I don't have any sympathy for her. Okay, 318. Okay. And then what happened here? Andrew Yang, Amy Klobuchar ticket. No. Come on. She's not that bad. Come on. And then regarding rent control, okay, we could have an interesting thing about rent control. Because you know what? You know what? This is the reason why Bernie is gonna lose, okay? So here's California Prop 10. If you were living here, you might remember this, but this was a rent control initiative that was supposed to apply to California. It lost overwhelmingly. I actually voted yes on this. I'm like, I don't know, rent control. I was like the YIMBYs were really split on this, so we decided not to do an endorsement. But anyway, it lost. It lost by a huge margin. And so this is what I mean by California not being as liberal as a lot of people think, And you guess who endorsed it? Mr. Sanders here. And LA Board of Supervisors, they suck. San Francisco Board of State, they suck. They suck. Everybody here sucks. And the worst part is that it was funded by AIDS Healthcare Foundation. Okay, this is the worst. If you want dirt on Bernie, just use this. Okay, it's actually really, really bad. Like, it's really bad. So So the AIDS Healthcare Foundation spent $21 million. And here's Bernie hanging out with this guy who some people consider to be not the devil, Satan. Yeah. So Bernie's hanging out with Satan right now, and getting money and whatever from him, and this guy made his fortune abusing the nonprofit healthcare system. Good for him, And this is what the whole thing wrong with his whole campaign. And they don't want to deal with this stuff. They don't want to admit that these connections are real, even though it's all public information. So AIDS Healthcare. AIDS Healthcare, Bernie Sanders endorsement, lose. That's it. You know, if Bernie cannot win over California, how is he going to win a state like Ohio or Iowa, right? Like, yeah, Bernie has a huge house. He's a NIMBY. He does not care. You know, and it breaks my heart that I gotta tell these brony bros that, you know, he doesn't care about you. You know, you think he does because of all that marketing, but Bernie does not care about you. He cares about himself. And I was like, no, but Bernie wants to do so good for the country. I'm like, no, not really. And here's some proof. Here's some proof why. This is the proof. So no, I mean, he hates people probably. You know, I get that vibe, man. He hates people. Like a lot of socialists are they have a very dim views of human nature, right? Because like if you're a capitalist, you gotta have some optimism, right? Like you can't. It's hard to be a capitalist without being an optimist, because you know the whole idea that like, yeah, you know, it can. Like we can build something, right? Like we can actually make something out of ourselves, or you know, that kind of thing. But his campaign has none of that, man. And it's like we don't trust people, so that's why we need to give them rules, you know. And that is his whole thing. It's very off-putting to most people, but you know, they're trying.
He is.
We bailed out the Wall Street banks for $4 trillion. You remember voting for that? Oh, we laugh. None of us would have voted.
Yeah, he was so rude to Tom Steyer. I mean, I get it. You know, I know why he did it, right? Like, you can't be seen together with a billionaire, right? Like, even politically. Like, he can't be like, oh, yeah, I love you, Tom Steyer, even though you're a billionaire, and I want to, you know. Because there are people within his campaign that really want, man, they want the guillotine, right? You saw that video, right? That undercover video about that guy's talking about the guillotine and shit. Like, and I've been hearing stories that people watch that video and they're like, wow, what have I gotten myself into? You know? Like it actually made them think twice about their support. And I don't know. Yeah, I think he's fucked. Yeah.
For that?
But I always say that.
Or how about this one?
That.
America, would you rather bail out the Wall Street banks for $4 trillion, or would you rather keep Americans in their homes? Which would you have chosen? Keep people in their homes, please. Like, no. Let's choose the banks. That's what they did 12 years ago.
Yep.
I was so disgusted, I quit my job, started a nonprofit, and ran it for 7 years.
Hey, that's not what you said last time.
And I had nothing to do with it. I was just in the same town. Really. Like, it was just so corrupt. And if we had gotten that right, in my mind, we'd be in so much better shape as a country today. But people saw what happened, saw that no one went to jail, no one took accountability, everyone just walked home with their giant bags of money, acted like, no, who could have known? And here we are. Here we are, where if you're an individual parent or family and you run into hard times, your fault on your own. If you're a drug company, you get into hard times, like, we can't run to you with bags of money fast enough. Bank, same thing. Like, that's the way our country has become. Our government has been overrun by that. You know, I mean, you all see it. That's one reason I was excited to talk to you all, because this is, like, you all are the swingiest of the swing counties in the swingiest state in the country. You know, like, Iowa is straight up and down purple. And to me, if you're a Democrat, you have to look up and say, how the heck do you lose the swingiest, purplest state by almost 10 points? You must really be doing something wrong. I haven't heard Democrats say that. It's driving me nuts. You know, it's like they act like Donald Trump's like out of the blue. It's like, well, if you guys were like actually leading in a more genuine way, then like people would feel like government's on your side instead of on the side
right
of
on the money,
corporate
man.
Interests, all just there like passing money back and forth.
And as Andrew gets,
I mean, literally, yeah. Oh, this is great clip. It was, yeah, this hits right. This is, you know, he's exactly right. You know, that was really Obama's biggest mistake, I think. You know, he could have been a great president. Like he really could have been a great president if he sided with the homeowners at that moment. He could have been a great president. Now he's just like a mediocre one, you know. So yeah, I mean, this ties into housing. Why don't we have enough housing? And you know, that's why the politics is so toxic, because like, you know, there's all this like hidden guilt, or you know, even among the people in power, like they know they did something wrong, right? They know. Yeah, they're not dumb. Well, some of them are, but but that's why politics is so toxic now, because it's just like they're really trying to. No, you know, they don't have a real case, right? Like Democrats don't really have a good case to make to the American people. And I love that he talked to like he really knows how to work a crowd, man. Like, you know, even just the way he talked about these things. I've heard all of this before, but you know, he was talking to in a way that, you know, I really connects to the Iowa folks. At least I hope, you know. You go further down, Bernie 8. Oh, okay. Like, well, this headline speaks for itself. Yeah, see, I don't mind Pete that much, but yeah, he doesn't, you know, he doesn't really. Bernie bro mobs never went away on 2016. Okay, I want to see. Well, let's hear what she has to say. You know, different. You know, women. When women talk about
here, Bernie's Twitter operates under the self-righteous guise of being the true progressives of the internet, writes Kurt Bardella. But there are times when you really can't distinguish between the tone of Trump's MAGA nation and Sanders's bros.
Wow, that's from NBC. Wow. Holy shit. Okay.
Opinion. Bernie bros mobs never went away after 2016. Now, I know that the establishment has used this against Bernie Sanders and, like, you know, framing the Bernie bros thing and everything like that. And I do think that that was largely unfair. But there actually is something to that. We are seeing this increasingly online, that a lot of Sanders voters, a lot of Sanders supporters, they are not playing fair. Honestly, they have been lashing out, and they've been also guilty of misrepresenting, you know, Andrew Yang and some of the other candidates as well. You know, for instance, his senior economic advisor, Stephanie Kelton. I mean, I guess she has a history of being an awful person, spreading misinformation about universal basic income. But I mean, look, this is the kind of stuff that she's going around saying. Yang is counting on desperate people to take the bird in the hand, get them to sign away their rights to access critical programs in the future. And when they inevitably discover they've made a grave mistake, it'll be too late. True freedom means Bernie Sanders. I mean, what kind of a horrible smear is this? Now we're wondering where all these smears are coming from, how Andrew Yang wants to take away the social safety net and all that, and he's a Trojan horse and all that stuff. It's coming from his staff. Even his staff is spreading this misinformation. I mean, this is actually just not acceptable. And also, they're starting to attack Biden as well, and some of the other candidates. Like, his campaign is now starting to play a little bit dirty. And as a former Bernie supporter, that doesn't make me feel any good, that he can't even control the messaging of his own campaign. And I think at some point, this is also going to bite him in the butt as well. Whether or not this is his fault, this kind of is his fault. These are people high up on the totem pole in his campaign. I mean, I've even seen some people who are Bernie supporters like disavowing that kind of behavior and everything like that, and how they're saying that they're increasingly disappointed by some of the decisions that he has made publicly, like not supporting Tulsi Gabbard, for instance, you know, not completely coming out.
Okay. I mean, we all know this, right? Yeah, see, the thing is, like, I think there was one that just came in, but, you know, they've been instructed by the campaign to tell Andrew Yang to drop out, you know? So that guy who, like, questioned, like, oh, looking pretty hopeless for Yang in the polls, like, what? And it's so, what's amazing is that it's so predictable, and they do it anyway, you know? This is, like, the 70th time that has happened to me in this past month, like... Yeah, so, like, the whole UBI thing, right, is that if you talk to people who are on like SNAP, you know, like Section 8 and all those, you know, those government aid programs, you know, they are it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. You know, I was looking at rent, housing vouchers, right? So look at all the things you have to report just to get like $500 a month. You know, you got to report the head of household's income. You know, you got to report everyone that's living. Yeah, you know, if someone got a new job, you got to report that. If you have a kid, you got to report that. If you're planning on renting out your unit, you got to report it. You know, and then, well, actually, you're not supposed to do this at all. But the thing is, like, so you have like, you know, I've worked for the city before, so I know this. But you have like a couple people handling each of these vouchers. Do you think we have enough people? Now, if you're assigning 3 people to one person, that means the government needs to be 3 times the population. That doesn't even make any sense. You know, it's not sustainable. Like it literally isn't. So, you know, Yang's plan is just give people the cash. Just people give the cash, and we don't have to do all this shit. This is all bureaucratic, like useless. It's not really doing anything, you know? So, man, you're really fixated on the race thing, huh? Man, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. But... Uh-oh. Oh, no, I can't.
And so, but I will say
that was the best one. that was the best.
No, they.
Oh wait. Oh man, come on. Okay, you can kind of see it now, but like... It's like, we will not surrender, but then, Yang 2020 yeah, it's a subliminal. I heard that, so basically this guy, you know, he invited a ton of Yang gang and we stormed the thing, and then we had a lot of conversations with Trump supporters about, hey, and I heard a lot of it was actually positive, you know? There was a few people who got into fights and stuff, but, yeah, well, whatever. You're ready to start your own country. Well, good luck with that. I hear nation building is tough. It's a lot. Try ask you know, ask George Bush about that. You know, he tried to build a nation and. Uh-oh, I might have made a mistake. Alright, I need to take care of this. I might have been making a mistake. Okay, give me a sec. Hello everyone, this is Ryan from the YIMBY Arts project. Carolyn is not very happy that I put out that last video, so and she's an important person in the campaign, so I need to resolve this right now. YIMBY Farts project? Well, it's about housing. So, oh god, oh, why does that have to be so complicated? Okay. How do I contact her directly? Let's see. Is there a way to do direct messages on YouTube? Oh, because I called out one of the city councilmen, and she worked on that guy to get that endorsement, and so I have to make a decision right now whether I want to keep her happy or point out the fact that, you know, he probably has a bad record on. I wouldn't apologize, yeah, but I like her. That's the problem. I actually really like her. So, I mean, it's right here. You know, sometimes you can't always be right, you know? So. But this is the kind of the problem, you know? This is why Yang doesn't talk about housing much, I think. So even people in the Yang gang gets triggered by this stuff, so I don't know what. So I'm gonna tell her. I will apologize for offending her. All right, but I'm gonna tell her the facts. You know, I'm just gonna tell her the facts, and we'll see how she responds. For now, the video will be down though. See, Marquise. Well, that's not true. No. See, why must I apologize? Look. Sometimes you don't apologize for speaking the truth, but apologize for offending people, you know? No, you can. You can totally do that. You can be like, I'm sorry that you're offended, but here's the facts, and because it's right here, you know, the facts are just right here. He's anti-housing, you know, and I don't know, you know, and the Yang Gang is hopefully you know, like it's hopeless when you talk to other people. It's only a problem because I like her, okay? So. You know, it's like, you know, it's just like any like relationship, right? Like you can be right, but you can be sorry for pissing someone off, right? Well, no. Yeah, just be like, hey, I'm sorry that you're offended. I took the video down as a gesture of good faith, but I mean, here it is, and this is why I put out that video, because he's really bad on housing, and Give me a second. What was the comment to you? Well, you can read it. It's right here. Say, you're so wrong for doing this. Comment, the campaign did due diligence. Consummate erected tiny houses with consummate price, not marquees, you know, okay. Yeah, but he was in the same video as the guy, so... yeah, so it's not worth it. Yeah, I don't think it's worth it. It's like, it's just one video, I can get rid of it, it's fine, but... So that's politics for you. You know, sometimes you gotta be like, ah... Alright. Paget is live. Okay, we can let me have this playing.
He was like, oh, you know, I should tell my daughter. She's in Las Vegas right now. She's a powerful attorney out there. Oh, I should tell my friend who is a news anchor for CBS 5. Oh, I'm going to tell, you know, this other woman who is a senator right now in California. Like and then he was talking about all of his other friends. Like he's incredibly connected around, like, you know, California and just people in general.
I think the mistake I made was that I didn't talk to her ahead of time. Yeah, I gotta think about that. Yeah, because it is a little bit embarrassing for her to. Yeah, that's the problem.
And he was
Let
literally. Your thoughts are on Andrew
get back
Yang,
to
and
that.
see if you would be free to come out to this town hall on March 1st. So, like, if you're in the LA area, like, I feel like this is a very, very good place to concentrate some energy. Is canvassing in Crenshaw. And then I think actually next week Erica wants to go to Inglewood. But yeah, I mean, everyone's registered to vote, and it's, you know, people, like, I just feel like when people are being spoken to in a way that they're generally not spoken to, they are more receptive, right? Like, if you go to Iowa and you go to a mall, it's very difficult, like, because they just get inundated with this stuff. At least from my perspective, it was very difficult to, like, generate conversations with people. But, like, in certain communities, I feel like we need to hit the communities that are not being hit up as much with political messages, especially because Andrew Yang's message is not, like, just political. We did meet with one woman who, by the way, okay, so this is actually kind of cool. A woman who, she was thinking about Tom Steyer, very politically, like, generally in the know, and she was saying how she wished that...
Yeah, I can't edit him out. I can't edit him out because he is the main focus of the video. so I'm going to either have to take it down or yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's worth it.
Steyer and Andrew Yang would do, like, some sort of town hall together or something. But what's so crazy is her dad, wasn't he, like, he's a governor or something in Arkansas, right? Like, the first black governor, someone in a political position in Arkansas.
She was incredibly well connected.
Yeah, very well connected. And her grandfather was Andrew Young.
No, Godfather.
Oh, Godfather. No, grandfather, something like that, was Andrew Young. And I don't know if you guys remember who Andrew Young is. He is the guy who was supported the Carter's candidacy. But anyway, so she's also very well connected. So she was, like, trying to see if we could get something going with having Andrew Yang, like, address people in a community through this virtual application or something. Like, I don't know.
She was a software engineer, so she was trying to promote her technology.
Yeah, but she's gonna be coming out, right, I think she's gonna come out to the town hall.
Yeah. I mean, I think she would probably.
Yeah.
She was very politically active.
Yeah, very politically active. But anyway, guys, like, I just wanted to so yes, there's gonna be a town hall March 1st. We do not have the event details.
Some left here and then a right.
100% locked down.
Oh, they're in Crenshaw now. Huh? Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, bad timing, huh? Maybe it's bad timing. I shouldn't be talking shit about him.
Anyway,
maybe.
so yeah.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it was really good. I mean, I think.
Oh God,
and actually had some flyers about the.
It's hard because I need the SB50
everyone will be very receptive.
to pass.
So we don't have flyers yet, but we're gonna get the flyers.
It's a little bit difficult to publicize an event. It's like, yeah, it's likely to happen. Like, if it does happen,
no, but we're getting people's names and numbers. We're getting people's numbers and we're getting people's information.
Everyone was very willing to give out their phone number to you, which I was quite surprised about. Really.
It was actually interesting because more people were willing to give out their phone number than their email address. Like, for me, I'm much more willing to give out my email address than my phone number. I don't really understand that part of it. Hey, hello. So actually, we had to leave. We actually have to take care of some stuff, and I have to go visit my family.
SB50 is...
I'm getting a lot of love in the chat. Julie, thank you. Yay, Steve is back. 2 thumbs up. Love it.
Okay, well, let's aim the camera more at Steve.
Hey, is there a way...
by the way, who's the person who just came...
Actually, I might do this on stream, actually. I'm gonna make a call to my representative about SB50. You know? But SB50 is this is the big deal now, because you know, I might do this call live if I can figure out how to do it. How can I do a phone call on the computer? I think there's a way, right? So so this is the biggest housing bill that is coming down. Okay, coming down the pipe right now. This is the one I talk about all the time. Hopefully this one's a little bit more objective. We'll see. Yeah, so we've been fighting this for years. You know, I've been working on this bill for a couple of years now. It's the biggest thing. And are they open today? Yeah, probably not. Not on the weekend. You gotta call during work hours, which is actually part of the problem, because who can do this? You know, who can do politics during work hours? Retired people and people who are rich who don't have to have a job, you know? So anyway, what this does is that around transit centers, right? So around transit centers, it lets people build denser housing, right? Like, so multiplexes, right? Duplexes, triplexes, and apartments. And near public transit, so that we can actually do something about the housing crisis. You know, if you're gonna build apartments, might as well build it near the transit centers, right? So encourage public transit, right? Makes sense. Both people on the left and the right agree that this is probably a good idea, but no. This is like Bernie has connections to these, you know, the trickle-down luxury housing bill. You know, I'm like, ugh, dude, this is middle-class housing, man. And so he came out against it. You know, all of them did, like all of it, like all of it. Like every single one in LA, they came out against it. And you know, so it's gonna be really annoying. You know, in theory, they're supposed to follow what the state is doing, right? Like the state gives them a band-aid and they just have to follow, but they're putting on this big show about being against the bill, and it's rough. You know? And so this is the one. Wait, no, not this. This one. So I'm assuming that you're interested. You live in California, but you know. So politics is a job. It is a job. Yeah. So the weird thing is that people are working a job, and but they're working at the same exact time, but you can't do politics while you're working. You know, I should just open an anonymous YIMBY account. Doesn't. It's too late for that. But I don't know. I prefer just like work this out before rather than try to hide it, you know. Yeah, so for example, right? For example, if you have like the land use meeting, right? Like you have these meetings, and these meetings happen at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday, right? So if you're a government worker, you're like, yeah, that's my job, you know, that's my work day, you know. But if you're like anyone else, right? If you're like anyone else working a normal job, you can't go to that meeting. Because it's like 10 a.m. in the fucking Tuesday, right? So what are you gonna do? Like, you can't. Like, what are you gonna do? So that's why the government gets stacked. You know, they end up representing interests of certain people who have way too much time on their hands, you know, and that's a problem.
Came out. That gets a bad
Shane is in San Jose.
People like me could never get a job.
Well, then of course everyone's gonna know who Andrew Yang is.
And of course you went to.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting to that point too, you know. Like you got to be a certain type of person to get a government job.
Yeah, San Jose I think is 40.
You don't fit the mold,
it might be either
then
40-something% Asian or 60-something% Asian.
Yeah, I agree with this. Like, it is
stupid
BS,
growth.
Calling Rogan an official endorsement. Like, Rogan was like, I'd probably vote for Bernie.
Rogan is so high out of his mind, I feel like, that he doesn't know what he's saying. I think he just says things to get reactions. He's just very careless about what he says. You know what I mean? He's just like,
yeah, Bernie has a ton of No, what's this guy doing on the freeway?
I mean, I don't want to get into like, you know, what have you shown? Well, his record is like, his record is consistently NIMBY, you know, and
yeah, burners are thirsty for endorsements.
Wait, why am I going on the 10 right now?
Because we've taken the 4.
I didn't delete the video. I just put it on private for now. I'll decide what to do with it later.
Okay.
But
this is why we're in traffic.
She's involved. Yeah, she's involved. She's okay. So
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe we should talk about about this because she is the one that actually got that endorsement. Okay, so she's not some random ass volunteer. You know, she's actually very heavily involved, and she's trying to court the African American vote. You know, and so I can't just ignore it. You know, she's done a lot, you know, and I like her, you know, I like her as a person, so I'm gonna try to resolve this. I don't want it. Oh, bad. This has been so much drama. I really don't want to do it, but anyway, what I said was, "Hey, Carolyn, I saw your." I'll just be transparent, you know, like, "Hey, Carolyn, I saw your comment. I took down the video. You seem pretty upset. Sorry if I offended you, and I probably should have talked to you ahead of time. You know, that if I made a mistake, that's probably what it would have been. So, I really should have talked to her ahead of time because, like, but you know how it is, you know, and then I don't want this to be a point of contention, so." Let's try to work it out, and then... But Marquise has been on record saying that he opposes the pro-housing measures that have been coming down. So he's been a political opponent for us for a while now. I'm happy we got his support, but we gotta be more realistic about the fact that he's still playing politics, you know, and then he's running for re-election, and he has no opponents. Yeah, you know, this is worth pointing out, because... Marquise, you know, LA City Council elections 2020. So yeah, no, she's not a small fry, you know, that's what I'm saying. So I don't wanna piss her off, okay? So yeah, so he's not running against anyone. You know? I'm like, I can do whatever I want now, you know, and that's probably why he decided to endorse Yang. I'm like, wow, you know, I can do whatever I want now, you know? So... And I'll tell her if it makes her feel better. I'll be like, you know, probably only like 3 people watched that video. And they probably don't even give a shit, so... Alright. There we go. That's the best I can do. I gotta head out soon. I'm gonna go to a text banking session. Yeah, do you want to replace Gavin Newsom? I don't know. Gavin's he wants to do the right thing. He really does. But he's just good looking. He's not that dumb. He just doesn't have a spine. That's the problem. Oh man, speaking of SB50, you know, like last year, what happened was last year we got really close to passing this bill, and then some dude named Anthony Portantino, who represents the Richie Rich people from La Cañada, he found a technicality and blocked it. You know, we got the votes, we got the fucking votes, and he blocked it through a technicality because he's a NIMBY and he's kind of a dick. So, so that they shelved the bill for a year. You know, he couldn't kill it, but he shelved it, and then now we're bringing it back down. They're going to vote on it at the end of this month. It's like. So I don't know what to do. Bad. See, like everything's happening all at once. Like we need this bill to pass, or we're fucked. Like honestly, in California, we're fucked. Like without this bill, I don't know how we're gonna get more housing. You know, and if this fails and we have to start all over, that's another few years, man. Another few years of things getting worse. Can we afford that? I don't think so. So, but he did endorse Yang, you know, that's what makes it, that makes it, I really think he's an opportunist, man. He's just like seeing all the cool things happening, he wants to be part of it, and you know, he endorsed Yang, you know. Let me, what is he up to? Let me follow this guy. Ron DeSantis is a great governor. Okay. The young women all voted. Okay, I don't want to get into that, but but this is kind of the problem. This is like all my problems right here. It's just like, yeah, all my problems in politics is right here, because it's just like, I love the Yang Gang, but the Yang Gang doesn't really want to talk about housing, because housing gets sticky, you know. I'm pretty sure Carolyn is a homeowner, so and what you know, what, like, what's so, oh yeah, I actually saw him. I saw him in person. So, oh well, whatever. It'll work out. It'll work out. Worse things have happened in the Yang Gang, and trust me, oh man. Okay, what else is? Yeah, I think I have to head out. The event is like starts at. I'm already going to be kind of late. It starts at 1, so. All right, so thanks everyone. I didn't get a video out today, but it's okay. I think I'll try to do it tomorrow. So thanks for coming.